The house on Seville Drive was quiet, almost too quiet. The kind of stillness that settles like fog, dense and unnatural. Harper Lawson pulled into the driveway just past 5 p.m., the tires of her Honda crunching against the gravel in that familiar rhythm. She had driven this road 100 times, maybe more, but today felt different. A weight tugged at her chest, a pressure she couldn't name yet. She hadn't spoken to her younger sister Jordan in a few days. That wasn't unusual, especially lately. Jordan had her hands full. 5 kids, a chronic illness, and a relationship that had been teetering on the edge of collapse. Still, Harper usually got a text, a meme, a random photo of a drawing Jordan was proud of, but this time, nothing. She stepped out of the car and instantly noticed something that didn't sit right. The blinds were drawn tightly, as if someone inside didn't want the light or the world to come in. That wasn't like Jordan. Even when she was bedbound from lupus flare-ups, she wanted the sunlight. She said it reminded her there was still a world out there, even when her body tried to trap her inside herself. Harper paused with her hand on the doorknob. The house looked the same as it always had. The cracked ceramic bird bath by the porch, the windshield made of colored glass that Jordan had bought from a yard sale, the faint sticker residue on the front window, where the kids once placed seasonal decorations. Everything was familiar, but that smell, it was creeping through the doorframe now, faint but thick like rotting citrus and wet pennies. She pushed the door open. A wave of air hit her face, stale, humid, and sour. The kind of smell you didn't forget once it wrapped itself around your senses. She called out, "Jordan?" Silence. The house was dark, the hallway more so. She stepped forward slowly, her heels clicking against a laminate floor. Something sticky clung faintly to her shoe. In the distance, she heard a soft thud, or maybe that was just the sound of her heart pounding in her ears. The door to the shared bedroom was halfway open. Sunlight filtered through a gap in the curtain, casting a diagonal sliver of light across the floor. And there, half shrouded in shadows, was Jordan. At first, Harper froze. Her brain struggled to reconcile the image with logic. Jordan was lying on her side, knees bent, wrapped in what looked like a curtain. But something was wrong with the shape of her body, wrong with her skin tone, wrong with the stillness. Harper stepped forward, then recoiled. The smell was worse now. Her hands flew to her mouth. She wanted to believe Jordan was asleep, just deeply asleep, but her eyes wouldn't open. Her chest didn't rise. The blood stain that had soaked through the curtain told the truth. Jordan wasn't asleep. She was dead. Harper's scream sliced through the still air. The scream roused someone else. From the kitchen, a figure stirred, slowly, aimlessly. Harper turned in disbelief as Alana Drew emerged, barefoot, bleary-eyed, swaying slightly as she leaned against the wall. Alana, Jordan's partner of nearly 6 years. Her eyes were distant, glazed over. Her T-shirt clung to her body in patches, stained with what looked like dried alcohol, or maybe something worse. She was just sleeping, Alana mumbled, her voice flat, her pupils dilated. Harper backed away. "Alana, what did you do?" But Alana didn't answer. She just slid to the kitchen floor and sat, legs crossed, arms limp at her sides, like a doll whose strings had been cut. The sirens came next. Neighbors peeked from their windows as red and blue lights painted the street in surreal streaks. Officer Kendra Reese was the first on scene. Her cruiser barely parked before she hurried to the front door. The look on Harper's face told her more than any words could. She followed the stench down the hall and into the bedroom. Jordan's body had already begun to decay. Her face was unrecognizable in parts, bruised and bloated, lips drawn back in a half-grimace. She had been dead for days. Officer Reese turned to the kitchen where Alana still sat, now slowly rocking. No signs of forced entry. No evidence of an intruder. And one person, only one, remained inside the home with the body. When asked what happened, Alana barely responded. "I don't know," she muttered. "I think I just snapped." But snapping doesn't explain the bullet wound beneath Jordan's left eye, or the manual saw in the garage, or the receipt for bleach, trash bags, and glove from Brenner Hardware 2 days prior. In the days that followed, Greenville buzzed with speculation. Friends described the couple as passionate but unstable. Arguments had become more frequent. Jordan, weakened by illness, was increasingly isolated. Alana, a former military communications officer, had grown volatile, especially when drinking. Behind closed doors, their love had rotted, and now one of them was dead, the other still breathing but barely living. This wasn't a random act of violence. It wasn't a robbery gone wrong. It wasn't a tragic accident. It was slow-burning destruction, the kind that creeps in unnoticed through neglect, pain, resentment, and silence, the kind of horror that doesn't scream until it's far too late. Harper would later tell a reporter, "I thought she was okay. I really did. I thought she could handle it. I thought they were working things out." But Jordan was trapped by her illness, by her dependence, by a woman who claimed to love her and killed her instead. And when the truth finally came out, it wasn't Alana's words that told the story. It was Jordan's body, silent, lifeless, and speaking volumes. It was a Wednesday afternoon when Harper Lawson returned to the small beige house on Seville Drive in Greenville, South Carolina. The sun was just beginning to drop behind the tree line, casting long shadows over the yard. Harper, 33, hadn't seen her younger sister Jordan in nearly 4 days. She had spent a long weekend with her mother in Asheville, trying to catch her breath from the emotional whirlwind that had recently swept through her life. Jordan Lawson, 30, was the free-spirited one, a mother of 5, a dreamer, an artist when she could find time. But lupus had taken much of her energy and strength in recent years, often confining her to bed. Harper had grown accustomed to checking in on her, bringing groceries, cooking meals, or simply lying beside her during the harder days. As she unlocked the door, Harper noticed something strange. The blinds were closed tightly. The house, usually smelling faintly of incense and lavender, had a new and heavy odor. She hesitated in the doorway. Something was wrong. And then she called out, "Jordan?" No answer. Harper walked down the short hallway, her footsteps echoing too loudly. She pushed open the bedroom door and froze. The room was dark, but a shaft of sunlight through a gap in the curtain illuminated the horror. Jordan's body lay curled on the floor, partially wrapped in what looked like a curtain. The fabric was stiff and discolored with blood. Her limbs twisted unnaturally, her skin pallid. The smell hit Harper fully now, the unmistakable reek of death. She screamed. Within minutes, neighbors gathered on the lawn as sirens pierced the silence. Officer Kendra Reese was the first to arrive. The front door hung open. Inside, she found Harper sobbing, crumpled in the living room. Then she saw Alana, sitting barefoot on the kitchen floor, her back against the cabinets, her eyes glassy, her shirt stained with something dark. A bottle of vodka lay sideways beside her. She looked up at Officer Reese and said flatly she was just sleeping. But Officer Reese knew. The scene was quickly secured. Crime scene techs moved through the house methodically. Jordan had been dead for at least 2 or 3 days, based on the decomposition. The air in the bedroom was stifling, thick with decay. Alana Drew, 35, was handcuffed and placed in the back of a patrol car. She didn't resist. She barely spoke. When asked what happened, she murmured, "I don't know. I think I just snapped." But it wasn't that simple. The news spread quickly. Jordan Lawson was dead. Her partner, Alana Drew, was the only other person in the house. To friends and neighbors, the couple had always seemed complicated. Jordan, vibrant but fragile. Alana, steady on the outside but with a temper that flared more often in recent months. Alana was a former military communications officer. 2 tours in Iraq, a disciplined exterior and a haunted interior. She had returned from deployment change, withdrawn, angry, and increasingly dependent on alcohol. Their relationship, by most accounts, had been troubled. There were shouting matches late into the night. One neighbor reported hearing glass break just a week before Jordan was found. Jordan's lupus had made her vulnerable, and in the shadows of their modest home, something had festered. At 3:12 a.m., long after Jordan's body had been removed, a 911 call was placed from a holding cell phone line at the Greenville County Detention Center. The voice was unmistakably Alana's. I think I killed her, she whispered. The operator kept her calm. Can you tell me what happened? I didn't mean to. I was drunk. She said something, and I just lost it. Please, just tell her dad I'm sorry. Before he finds me. The call was brief, but chilling. It was enough for prosecutors to begin drafting formal charges. Detectives began piecing together what had happened. A .22 caliber revolver was recovered from the bedroom closet. It had been cleaned, but not well. Forensics found a single spent casing and a bullet lodged beneath the floorboards, the same bullet that had passed through Jordan's cheek. There were other signs of something darker. A manual saw, bottles of bleach, heavy-duty trash bags, all found in the garage, and a receipt from Brenner Hardware, dated 2 days before Harper found the body. It suggested Alana may have been planning to dismember and dispose of Jordan's body, but she hadn't. Whether from guilt, confusion, or drunken collapse, she stayed. The courtroom was silent as Alana Drew shuffled to the podium in her orange jumpsuit. It was February 2025, nearly a year since Jordan's death. Guilty, she said, barely above a whisper. She pleaded to second-degree murder, avoiding a lengthy trial. The judge stared down at her, unmoved. Harper sat behind the prosecution, arms wrapped around Jordan's oldest daughter, now 13. The rest of the children sat spaced out among relatives. 5 children. 5 futures changed forever. In her statement, Alana said, I drank. I lost control. I destroyed everything that mattered. I will never forgive myself. The court sentenced her to 35 years without parole. The house on Seville Drive was eventually sold. New tenants moved in, unaware of what happened inside those walls. But for Harper, for the children, and for the community, the echoes linger. There were signs, flares of anger, bottles tossed in the trash, bruises explained away. The truth wasn't that Alana snapped. It was that no one stopped her path before she did. Jordan Lawson will never see her kids grow up. Her artwork remains, scattered through Harper's garage, a blend of watercolor dreams and portraits of the children she loved. And somewhere in a prison cell, Alana Drew wakes each day to a silence she created. Justice was served, but justice isn't healing. Jordan's children are adjusting to new homes, new routines. Harper has taken in 2 of them, trying her best to build stability. Therapy, school changes, bedtime routines, they keep going. But every birthday, every milestone, echoes of the absence of a mother taken too soon. No one saw what was really happening behind those closed doors. Not until it was far too late. In the end, Jordan Lawson didn't die in an instant. She died in silence. Behind closed blinds, beneath a heavy curtain of control, pain, and dependency, a deadly affair unfolded. One that would leave 5 children motherless and a community forever shaken. Alana Drew said it was an accident, but the evidence said otherwise. This wasn't just a crime of passion. It was a tragedy born from trauma, silence, and secrets left unchecked. Some say love can heal all things. But in this case, love turned lethal. This was deadly affairs. If you found this story gripping, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell so you never miss another deep dive into the darkest corners of the human heart. Drop your thoughts below. Was this preventable? Could someone have saved Jordan? Until next time, stay aware, stay safe, and remember, what you see on the surface isn't always the whole truth.